Coming to you from McCurdy's Comedy Theater in Sarasota, Florida, it's the Open Bar Comedy Show. Today's guest, comedian and vaginal expert Jodi White. Don't miss her comedy special, V is for Vagina, on Open Bar Comedy. Here's your host, Ron Feingold.
Hi, everyone. This is Ron Feingold from Open Bar Comedy. This is the Open Bar Comedy Show. Today, an amazing guest, a longtime friend of mine. Her name is Jodi White. Please welcome her to the program.
Yay!
Yeah. So, we met, I want to say, at somewhere in Augusta. It wasn't just somewhere in Augusta. That was the name of the gig. That was the name of the restaurant, which was somewhere in Augusta. I'd heard of you before, but I'm like, yes, I get to work with Jodi White. So you were Jodi White at the time. Sometimes you're Jodi Jones, but your stage name is Jodi White. And I should tell everybody at home that Jodi is also married to an amazing friend of mine and an amazing comedian as well. His name is Dale Jones, if you've heard of that guy before, who's also blowing it up. Yeah. So I'm so proud of him. He's doing so well.
Right? It's
wouldn't
crazy.
you say that it's, you being on the inside of this thing, how long have you been doing comedy now?
16 years.
16 years. And you started right here at this club. We are here at the McCurdy's Comedy Theater and started with the McCurdy's family here in Sarasota, Florida,
I did.
16 years ago. So, but we were talking about Dale, and then we met in a gig called Somewhere in Augusta. Was that 16 years ago? That was more like 14 years ago.
Yeah, more like 14. And it was always such a weird gig. I don't know if you remember, like the feature would go up and do their time, and then they'd take a break, and then the headliner would go. So instead of warming the crowd up and just keeping going, always so awkward. And everybody complained till they finally put it in the notes. Please do not complain to the management about the break in between the comedians. And
they know it's bullshit, but do it anyway. Yeah,
right.
That was one we had to shut up about and just let it be.
Yeah.
But a cool gig, and that was great. But what were your, when you started doing comedy, what were you doing before that?
Oh, Lord. I did a little bit of everything. Mm-hmm. I was a mortgage broker when the market crashed, and that...
Like around the 2008 thing?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was a mortgage broker from 90 something, and then when the market crashed, I had started comedy, like open mics and little MC gigs, and I never would have quit, making a ton of money to go be a comedian. And then when the market crashed, I was like, I'm going to lose the house, the boat, the husband anyway, so might as well. So, yeah.
And you were married at the time?
I was.
How many times have you been married?
4. Dale's my 4th husband.
Dale is your 4th husband.
Yeah.
And how old were you when you first got married?
18.
18 years old. Was that here in Sarasota?
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then,
I got married a bunch of times in Sarasota.
Really? It was all here? I know you got married at the club with Dale. And then here, but all the husbands here in Sarasota? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, I got married 4 times in Sarasota. I had never thought about that before.
We would like to thank the local Sarasota marriage economy for supporting all of those marriages and weddings here in town.
Right?
Awesome. That's very cool. Well, thank you for supporting the economy with all those weddings. But you're with the right guy now. You are totally.
Got the right one.
It's
either that or I don't have the energy to go find another one. either way.
But I was going to say you've been on the inside of watching Dale's success and how it's grown. So how does that feel?
30 years. 30, maybe 31 years in. I don't know. Yeah, it's so fun, man. The first time I saw him on stage, it was a Sunday night show. I had to work the next day. Tim the Dairy Farmer and BC Murphy are like, you got to see this guy. I'm like, I don't want to go. I don't want to. And they're like, no, you got to come see this guy. And I stood there watching him on stage, and I was like, I don't know if he's brilliant or special. Such a fine line there. He was just high energy and physical and all over the place. And I'm like, if that guy doesn't get famous, nobody's going to get famous. And here we are.
Were you attracted to him immediately, or did you find his demeanor off stage different?
He was different off stage. I actually met him briefly before the show, and I was like, oh, he's cute. I like him. Yeah. And then I saw him on stage, and I was like, oh, I don't know. And then afterwards, he's like, oh, I need to go get a pack of smokes. And I was like, oh, I'll drive you over. He's like, oh, it's close, I can run. And took off running like Forrest Gump. I didn't even know what to think.
Was he nervous, scared kind of thing?
I don't know.
He had to be.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then he came back and you guys got to know each other. And was that night or later on you called him up, or how did that work out?
Yeah, we were just kind of friends, and there may have been a little spark there, but we were just friends, and both going through divorces, and then we're like, oh, let's try dating, and then we broke up, and then we're like, let's try again, and then we broke up, and after like 50 times breaking up, he moved in.
Yeah. Well, 16 years ago, you were bitten by the comedy bug. You took the class with Les and Ken, right?
Yeah.
And then what drew you to that? I mean, what was going on that said, I have to be a comedian? It's part of my DNA. What happened?
It was that first night on stage. I was making a ton of money doing mortgages, and that first night on stage, man, I think I was maybe 38. And it was just that aha moment of, this is what I want to be when I grow up. Like, it was just that high. But Steve Eric, local Florida headliner, was standing in the back of the room that night. And he's like, you know what? If you want to do this, I think you might have what it takes. Next Wednesday's an open mic at Coconuts. You got to pay $5 to go up. And I'm like, I'm in. Let's do it. So I went, and he introduced me to other comics. And, being an adult, not starting at like 18, 19, 20, being an adult, the other adults in the community kind of took me under their wing. I don't know. Maybe it's because I had boobs and I was a girl. Who knows?
Well, you were already well-spoken, too. I mean, when I saw you the first time, you seemed very polished and like, this gal's really got something going here. It's great. How would you say you would characterize your comedy experience over 16 years? Are you happy with the way it's gone? What's missing, and what do you have left to accomplish?
Well, I think every comedian dreams, I'm going to be rich and famous. I'm going to make it to the top. I'm going to be a damn movie star. I'm going to be on a sitcom. And it's just usually not the reality. But for a lot of years, I did nothing but comedy to make money. And that's amazing to me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm made a living telling jokes. I can't tell you how many weeks I walked out of the club and then had to walk back in because I forgot I get paid.
Yeah.
I walk out and be like, oh, I forgot to get my check. like it's just so bizarre to me. We get paid money to tell jokes. It's just crazy. So I can't believe that I get to do that. We'll have people drive hours and hours, every comedian at a certain level. We'll drive hours and hours to see you, and just so grateful that I got to do something that fills my soul and get paid for it, that makes people happy. I can't believe that I got to do that. And then COVID hit.
Yes. Did that change your life in a way that took you in a different direction?
Yeah.
What happened?
So our whole household was comedy money. My husband lost all his work. I lost all my work. And we had a little t-shirt company, and we're like, this can't happen again. Maybe we should focus a little more on the t-shirt company. So we started building the business, Comedy Couple Tees. And
let's say it loud and proud. Comedy Couple Tees.
ComedyCoupleTees.com.
That's right. That's where I get my shirts. That's where we get our open bar count. They're nice and soft, too. What is that soft?
The Gildan Soft Style shirt. Yeah.
Shirts. That's the shit. That's like sleeping shirts.
Yeah, right? They definitely are.
They're awesome.
So we started building the t-shirt business, and just moved into our first commercial building, and got great big huge equipment.
My God.
New
machines, like a whole bunch of new machines. How many?
New machines, about $105,000 worth.
You're invested now. We're in.
We are all invested. Yeah.
I love it.
And so I go out. I mean, I love comedy. I don't ever want to quit comedy. But I maybe go out once or twice a month now to do it. And I've been doing shows with Etta Mae and the Southern Fried Chicks. So touring, doing the clean.
Oh, you're doing a clean show with it.
Clean shows in the
Not
theaters.
Not known for being a clean comedian, would you say?
Not known for being a clean comedian.
Jodi White has the biggest balls of any female comedian that I've ever met. And I hate to put it in a category like that, but you, I would say, I don't want to put it in a category. You have the biggest balls of any comedian that I've met. I just love how you don't give a fuck, with your material, as far as not being self-conscious of how the audience is going to react to it. You can tell that you don't care. And that's the beauty about comedy that most comics need to learn, is when you stop giving a fuck about what the audience is going to think, it's when you become a better comic.
Right.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
That's what I love about you.
Yeah.
But you're doing that tour and everything. What would you say, since I brought it up, being a female comic, what has been the biggest obstacle, if there has been?
Well, it's just, the stereotype started by Jerry Lewis. women aren't funny. I don't know if somebody started it before him. I don't know. Women aren't funny. So, that's a constant hurdle. Of course you're going to be dirty. You're a female comic. Well, fuck you, or you're going to talk about your vagina. Like no male comic has ever talked about their dick.
Right.
So it's just, constant that, or people that come up to you after the show that are like, oh, I typically don't think women are funny, but you were hilarious.
Do you get that a lot?
Like if one more person says that to me, every single time I hit the stage, somebody says that after the show, every single time. And then of course, there's the stuff within, comedy, bookers hitting on you, other comics thinking they're going to sleep with you.
Has that been something that has been a constant throughout the 16 years of like people, hey, if you sleep with me, I'll give you a booking? Is that really fucking happen?
It does happen. Or you'll show up. I can't remember. It was a zone gig. I want to say West Virginia in the mountains somewhere. I don't know. But he was like, well, I didn't know if you'd be funny, but I figured at least your tits would be worth the price of admission. And they would never think to say that to a male comic. Right. It's just like, really? Are you kidding me?
I'm so sorry.
And then the comics that'll just think they can say shit on stage because they think it's funny.
Disrespectful female remarks.
Yeah, like, she's going to fuck me after the show if you buy 7 of my T-shirts. No, I'm not.
That's so hacky. Yeah, she sucked my dick.
Yeah. Yeah, so.
Asshole.
And, in the beginning, you just smile and.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be, she's the problem. She's the bitch. She can't take a joke. No, I'm just tired.
Yeah.
Just fucking tired.
I can imagine. Yeah. Just being on the male side of this, it's a male-dominated sport.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want to be a female in this business. I feel for you guys. I really do. I've heard all the stories. I've seen it all happen. I feel for you. But you've separated yourself. You're tough, and that's what I love about you. You have to be a tough business person. You have to represent yourself and not be taken advantage of, and you haven't been. That's cool. I love that.
And you have to, stand up for yourself. Like I feel like I was pretty lucky. I think like you, maybe not as quick as you, but I headlined pretty early on in my career.
Right.
I think the women that are lower on the totem pole, the MCs and the features, have it a little harder because they feel pressured by guys that are ahead of them and the headliners to take more shit, where I was headlining, I didn't have to for as long, so I think that helped a little bit.
Yeah, you got to the better spot. It sucks being an MC in a feature act for so long. I think I spent probably a good 7 years in those spots, and then finally headline, which is relatively quick to start headlining, but still I get it.
Yeah.
What would you say? Did you ever have like the worst gig? Give me the worst gig story.
I did a Friday night gig for like a Shriners.
Yeah, like
and I don't
Moose
know that
Lodge.
It was Shriners. It could have been, one of those.
Sure.
I did a Friday night gig, husband and wives, slaughtered. They're, that beer drinking hard. Those are our people.
It's
easy.
Yeah,
those are the people.
Yeah.
So they're like, hey, we want you to come back next year and do our awards night. And I'm like, all in. So next year rolls around. They're like, hey, Jodi, we got this. Can you bring a couple of openers? Yeah. Bring a couple of guys. I walk in, and it is a room full of 70 to 80 to 90-year-old dudes wearing their little hats with their little tassels. And I find the guy putting on the event. I was like, John, you said there was going to be it was like last year, like the other women here. And he's like, oh yeah, there's other women. They're back by the bar. So I go back by the bar. The only 2 other women are 2 20-something topless bartenders.
Oh my God.
So it's their stag night, awards night. Nobody knew comedy was going to be there. They didn't want comedy. My openers, just ate a big bag of dicks for, 40 minutes. And I finally go up, and they don't want to pay attention. By the time I hit the stage, the 2 topless bartenders are now just in G-strings.
Oh my God.
And they send one of them to the stage with a can of whipped cream.
While you're on stage?
While I'm on stage. And I was like, I just had it at that point. I was like, if I do this, will you motherfuckers shut the hell up and listen to my jokes?
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah. So I was like, baby, sit down on that stool. And I put whipped cream on her nipple and ate it off. And they listened to every single joke from then on. But my guys had gone outside to have a cigarette, and they came back in, and that's what they saw. And they're like, oh, shit, Jodi's closing early. Like, that's my fucking closer.
God, love you, girl.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So tell me what it's like to be married to another comedian. Is it, do you see each other much? Is it a struggle? What is it like now?
Here's what people think it's like being married to a comedian. They're like, oh, you guys just must laugh all day, every day. Yeah, no, it's a marriage like any other marriage. I think it's easier because we do travel. And so the time we get to spend together, we really appreciate that time.
Yeah. He's busy too. I mean, he's every weekend pretty much, isn't he?
He's busy.
Or every week.
Yeah, he's gone pretty much every week. Every now and then he has a week off and he's like, oh, I could have worked this week and made, and I'm like, you have to take some time off and spend.
Yeah.
The kids are flying in.
The dude could be gone every week if he wanted to. I mean, we asked for this, but it's a balance, you know. I'm glad that you demand that. That's good. It's important.
No, and we figured out that balance. Like in the beginning, because we were both traveling different directions, we'd go 4, 5, 6 weeks without seeing each other. Mm-hmm. And at some point, we're like, okay, the rule has to be 2 weeks. We can't go more than 2 weeks without seeing each other. Yeah. But pretty much now, you know, he's home Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, flies out for a few days, comes home. It was so weird this morning, he took me to the airport, and it's usually me taking him, and, you know, I'm staying home. And I was like, well, if you could wash the sheets, I'd appreciate it.
I'd like to know if that actually gets done.
Oh, he's our laundry person.
He's good with it.
He doesn't like to cook. Mm-hmm. He doesn't clean toilets. Doesn't clean the bathroom, but he does the laundry.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have our jobs.
Yeah.
Get them done.
Yeah.
Tell me somebody, no, you keep in touch with the comedy world, right? You've been watching other comedians and things like that. Tell me somebody that you think we should check out. Somebody that, a comedian that, not really an up and coming one, but just one that, you know, people should know about, that somebody that you've always been a fan of that we might not all know about.
Well, I don't know if you've heard of her or not, but Sarah Silverman is really wonderful.
Yeah. Do you think she's underrated as a comic? I mean, like, she's not given her due as a comic?
Oh, man. No, she's given her due. I'm fucking with you. You don't know who Sarah Silverman is?
Of course I do.
Oh, okay. No.
I was just going to say, are you a fan? But I guess you're just fucking with me.
No,
You're not.
I love Sarah Silverman so much.
Yeah.
Like, you know, when people are like, oh, who do you like? And I'm like, Sarah Silverman, Dave Attell, Ricky Gervais, Anthony Jeselnik. I like it Disturbed, Wrong.
All ballsy comics that you just mentioned there, by the way. I love Jeselnik. He's great.
Yeah.
He's really good. He's ballsy, too. I got to say. That guy
he's fearless.
Amazing.
He's truly fearless.
Yeah. Which is a great hook to have. I mean, he pulls it off better than anybody else.
Yeah. And I was working with a new young little MC in Louisville, Kentucky this past weekend. Mm-hmm. And he's trying to come off as kind of a douchebag on stage. And we're like, buddy, you're 5'3", you got a little baby face, and you can't pull it off. Not now. Yeah. Maybe later.
Wait till you're shaving.
But right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, wait till you're shaving. Wait till you can, like, sit at the table without your booster. You know, just... You know, he's just so cute. I think you have to find your authentic self on stage first.
Did that bother you when people asked you to not be yourself, to change your style or to be cleaner? I mean, we've been asked to be clean. We did Carnival together and we had to do family shows. But I mean, did that bother you? It's not really getting into the business to be a family comedian. We didn't. But does that bother you when they ask that?
It pisses me off to no end. Yeah. And, you know, when I go do theaters with the Southern Fried Chicks, I took that job knowing that they needed to be squeaky clean shows, which I'm perfectly capable of doing, and not when I first started, but now I'm perfectly capable of doing, and I love the fun little show I put on. But when I go to a comedy club and they're like, oh, hey, there's some like 14-year-olds that are here with their parents. Could you clean it up? I'm like, no. Yeah. No, I can't. I'm a professional stand-up comedian. I have an act. You know what you hired. That's what, that's what
yes.
I love to do.
Yes.
And I was just somewhere. I have a new sales rep for the t-shirt business.
Okay.
And the guy, I was like, oh, yeah, we're going to be local on Valentine's Day. You should come see it. And he's like, oh, I love, this guy and this guy. And he named all clean comedians. I was like, oh, well, if you love clean comedy, you don't want to come see me. Right. And he's like, oh, you're dirty? And I'm like, yeah, I'm dirty. And so he was like, well, I hate to say this, but... if you have to be dirty to be funny, you're not really talented. You're not really funny. And I about lost my freaking mind. I was like, you're just regurgitating, stuff that started with Bill Cosby saying, and thank God for sweet, innocent Bill Cosby,
Amen.
right?
Yes.
And I was like, because you haven't traveled the road for 16 years. You don't know what it takes to write your first hour. You don't understand the talent and sacrifice that it takes to be able to do clean and dirty or just clean or just this gig at all.
Yes.
It is heart-wrenching and lonely and depressing, and it's so hard. And for people to just nonchalantly say stupid shit like that, nothing pisses me off more.
I notice that people treat you differently after they know what kind of comedy you do.
Yeah.
Not only do they treat you differently after they find out that you're a comedian.
Yeah.
Because you notice that mindset that people have, like if they don't know that you're a comedian, they haven't met you yet, and they don't know anything about your background, kind of like just treat you like a civilian, no respect whatsoever a lot of the times.
Yeah.
Then they find out you're a comedian, like, oh my God, are you serious? And like, you weren't interested in me 10 minutes ago.
Right.
And now that you find out that I have an interesting job, that's all you wanted to know about. That's the thing that bothers me most. But when it comes to the material, I'm glad that it bothers you. Because that means that you have integrity about what you're doing. You know what you like to do, and you know what you're about. Yeah. But it's always been a struggle with me. It's always been something that I want to have fun on stage. I want to make money, but it's a balance that you have to do. Like if you got to do a corporate show, make that kind of corporate money, you have to change who you are, what you do, as opposed to the club act. It's just a part of the business. Well, let's talk about this. Whenever we do our vidcast, we always like to find some kind of fun product. Do you have a phone mount in your car?
I do.
You do? What do you use? Like, what do you use to hold your phone in your car?
I don't know, but I just recently put it in there because I was tired of just like...
You just wear a holder, or you put it in the cup holder?
Well, in Dale's car, it's the Apple CarPlay. Okay. But I have a little Mini Cooper, and it does not have Apple CarPlay. Okay. And I had like some weird little mount in there that wasn't working. So I just got one that just like 3M stick to the dash, and it's just a little circle. And I guess my phone...
Does it charge?
Yeah, it will. But I guess my phone has the circle on the back of the case that just makes it magnetic. So I didn't even know it. And my son's like, oh yeah, it'll just stick on there. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I love that. And it's amazing that you just said that, because we just started messing around and finding all kinds of new different phone mounts and stuff, and actually found one that does it kind of look like that in a way?
Yes, except that mine like sticks on the dash. It's not plugging in.
This thing actually sticks into your vent in the car, and it opens up like so. And then you tighten it into the vent, and it tightens really nice like that. Yeah. And then it's really tight. And then it has this thing that from RapidX, and it will charge. It'll plug into your phone, and it'll charge the phone. And just in 30 minutes, my phone was empty. In 30 minutes, this thing had it all charged, ready to go with an Apple phone. So if you are interested in finding, these were only $11, I believe.
What?
Like $11. So if you click on the link, these are from Dashio, and this is the RapidX phone mount, and that charges your phone as you have it in there. It's a really easy thing. So from Dashio.
My phone? What?
This is our version of phone sex. I pulled out too soon. So there's the Dashio from RapidX. So check that out. Click on the link below there. All right. Jodi White, do you know what your sleep number is?
I have no idea.
Right on.
Are you going to tell me?
I don't know what your sleep number is. It's different for everybody.
We did work together that one time. Like, I didn't know.
Well, we didn't sleep in the same room or nothing.
Okay.
Your sleep number. This is like the comfort level of your bed.
I understand,
right?
Ron. I'm a comedian. I was making a little joke.
My wife will be watching this. I'm not even going there at all.
What's up, girl? Miss you.
Oh, let's talk about that. So here's what happened. You came over to my house to have lunch. You were working Sarasota here, and you drove graciously all the way up there, 2 hours, to come boating with us.
Yeah.
And I had a boxer at the time, if you remember.
Yes.
Oh, my God, I can't believe you still talk to me. This isn't amazing because you're a very forgiving person. So I had a boxer, and she had this thing where she liked to sit on people's heads. You lay down on the floor, and the boxer will sit on your head. Like, Jodi, you have to do this thing with my dog. So we made Jodi lay down in the living room, and the dog ended up pissing on your head. And you were so cool about it and so understanding. And I just want to say, looking back on that, I would have been pissed if I were you. So I'm so thankful that you're still my friend and you're still talking to me, because it's an awful thing to say. I remember that.
I love dogs. I don't care.
Well, cool.
It's pee. Whatever.
Yeah, but still, you got pissed on the head. It's horrible. Speaking of that, I remember there's a great YouTube video of you, of Dale. So I guess there was some horse, and he was separated by an electric fence. And
went
Dale
to my
goes,
brother's new farm.
Oh, it was your brother's
farm. Went down
farm.
to see the horses.
Yeah. Tell the story.
And my brother's like, should we tell her that fence is electric? And Dale's like, oh, hell no. And they let me touch an electric fence.
And what happened?
I'm a middle-aged woman. So when I screamed, I peed all over myself, and I had to walk back up the hill, and I'm laughing, not realizing they let me touch the fence.
And this was your viral video. This was like one of your first viral videos, right?
It was, which is crazy. I still get people like, oh, is this you in this video? Because 1 trillion people stole it. And you know what's hilarious is, like, when TikTok first started going, somebody's like, oh, this guy's put your video up. And I was like, oh, it's not his video. Like, he didn't put it in a compilation. He just put it up like it was his video. So we put it up, and somebody reported us for animal cruelty, and we had to take ours down, but 100 other people have that video up, so.
It ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
Let's get back to Sarah Silverman for a second. You mentioned her as one of your favorite comedians.
I love
What
Sarah.
is it about her? I mean, we got off the subject, but what is it about her that you like? Is that she doesn't give a shit?
I think it's the fearlessness. I like, and my husband, Dale, he's very high energy and physical and goofy, but my taste in comedy runs dark. And he'll run a joke by me, and I'll just stare at him. And not because I don't think it's funny, because I'm processing how to make it better. But you give me a good rape joke, and I'll howl. Gotta be good.
Sure.
So I love the dark, wrong, inappropriate, which, growing up, I don't think I was ever funny, but I was the person that said the shocking things that either made people gasp or laugh, and that's what, did it for me.
I can't believe she said that part.
Yeah, absolutely.
When Dale presents a joke to you, do you darken it out immediately in your head? Like, do you immediately end up like, okay, you just keep it towards his?
I hear his voice, his goofy voice so clearly in my head now that I can write for him without even thinking. So, he'll say something around the house, and I'll be like, that's a bit. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah, that's a bit. Write it down here, da-da-da. Or he'll come with a punchline, and he doesn't know how to get there, and, I'll write the setups, and I hear that goofy voice in my head. But when he tries to write for me, he doesn't hear my voice. We call it daling it up. Okay. He tries to dale it up. So
okay. That's great.
Yeah.
I love that. If you can understand that, that's very cool.
Yeah.
Have you watched him do a joke that you've punched up and felt a sense of pride and like, I made that joke happen?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, all the time.
I love that.
Yeah, a lot of it.
So everybody would love to be on the road full time, like doing like a theater tour. That's been my biggest dream of my life, is just doing theaters.
Yeah.
Now comics are filling arenas, which I think is amazing now. I
Isn't
never
it
thought
crazy?
that was in the realm of things.
Yeah,
but
right?
Now arenas. I mean, Bill Burr,
Yeah.
you would always think he'd be doing arenas, but Nate Bargatze doing arenas,
Yeah.
Sebastian doing arenas, Bert doing arenas.
Yeah.
A lot of arenas going on, which
Yeah.
is a goal for Open Bar now.
Right.
But if you were to do just a theater tour or even an arena tour, who would you want to go out with?
Dave Attell. That's
Tell
the
me
guy.
Why. He's amazing.
And I got to meet him once, kind of.
Yeah.
We went to New York, we went to the Comedy Cellar, it's one of those shows where you just kind of wait all night long to see who's going to show up. And I was like, Dave's not showing up. So I go outside, I'm standing on the sidewalk to have a cigarette, and there he is right there smoking a cigarette. And I'm like so celebrity shy, I couldn't even be like, hi, Dave. Like, I couldn't even turn my head all the way. I just like took my eyes, and I was like, that's Dave Attell.
How far into the business were you? How many years in were you?
Enough that I shouldn't have been a dick like that. I don't know. I was probably 5-6 years in, but I'd still have a hard time.
Oh, sure.
I just don't do well with celebrity. And I know Dave Attell isn't a household name, but
to a comedian, to me, he's on the Mount Rushmore.
He's the guy. Like, it's the dark, wrong, inappropriate, dirty humor. And I feel like somebody that I know opened for him, and he was like, give me your dirtiest joke. And he told him, and he's like, okay, start with that and go from there. Like, because he knows what his crowd wants.
Right.
And
he just comes out, slays it, line after line after line. He goes, let's just slow it down a little bit. Fisting.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Yeah, I just love him so much.
He's great.
I could sit and watch him forever.
He's not doing an arena tour. He would kill in an arena.
Maybe.
Dave Attell deserves to be in an arena. Maybe, you know what? He did in arenas. He was opening up for Chappelle in arenas and things like that, so I shouldn't say that.
Yeah.
But that's cool. Well, let's talk about your special. This is your comedy special. We're actually bringing you back to do, and we had like a technical issue with your first one, so we're bringing it back, and I'm glad we are, because we got an amazing audience tonight.
Is that what we call lightning and thunder and storm?
It was a technical issue, yes, because it was fucking with our equipment.
You know what? God said no.
Yeah, God said, we need a new name for this. So what is the name of your special that we're doing tonight?
We struggled, but I think we're going with V is for vagina.
V is for vagina.
Yeah.
I like it. You said you have like because you talk a little bit about the V in your show.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a good name.
Yeah, I like it.
Do you kind of write towards that end, or that's just where your mind goes?
You know, it's just where my mind goes. I'm like, I need to write some more clean material, and I'll sit down, and then I got 10 more minutes of dirty. Like,
me too.
It's just who I am. And you know, when that guy recently was like, "Oh, you're not really a comedian if you can't be clean," and I was like, "Dude, but that's not who I am as a person."
Right.
I'm a dirty person. I like to drink. I like to fuck. I like to, get in trouble. Like, that's who I am, and I shouldn't have to apologize for that.
Amen.
Amen.
That needs nothing else.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. So do you talk about that kind of freedom in your show, or I know you're ballsy in your show. You talk about whatever you want, but do you ever talk about the fact that people are somewhat shocked that you're a female doing that? Because we have Caroline Picard that got a lot of shit for just being a woman talking dirty.
An old lady.
Right.
Saying them words.
Right. And that's what caused so much of a stir on our platform was people getting angry at a woman
Which is exactly
of a
what you
certain
want.
age. It's
Come
exactly
on.
what I do
That's
want
exactly what you want.
But I also want to showcase it. I want to show these people being themselves.
Right.
We shouldn't have to change who we are just to appease a certain part of the population.
Yeah.
We are who we are. We talk about what we talk about. If you don't like it, scroll.
Yeah,
Keep
just
going
scroll.
on.
Just keep scrolling.
But that is the engagement that we've been talking about. Janet the Tramp Williams curses a lot in her show. Caroline Picard. Julie Scoggins, I wouldn't say realizing that. She's just really a damn funny comedian.
Yeah.
Helen Keeney is a very ballsy comedian on stage, doing with her crowd work and what she talks about.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm happy that you are on this. This is the perfect platform for you. And what else do you want to talk about in your special?
It's really just about my life. But I think as a woman of a certain age, I think that it's giving women a voice to maybe the things they think but they don't say. And then the men that have these women in their lives, they're like, oh, yeah. So I think it's just giving people a voice maybe for the things that they think and don't get to say. And
do women thank you for being yourself, for
all
being
the time.
different in that way?
All the time.
Like, thank you for not doing the typical female jokes that a typical female comic might do. You're different, and that's what we loved about you. You get that feedback?
I don't know so much that, but I get, can we be best friends? And I think you're my spirit animal. Yeah. Or, oh my God, you're just like my mom, like from the Young Girls.
Does that bother you?
No, not at all. Maybe 5 years ago it would have, but now I'm embracing the old.
Yeah,
I
love the gray.
I'm digging the gray.
You let the gray was starting to come out in the first special there, and now I would say we're about 8-9 months later.
Yeah,
and it's beautiful. I love it.
Yeah.
So you are embracing it. I did too. I a long time ago stopped doing the just for men because when I got in like purple light, it would start looking green.
Yeah.
And people were like, "Oh, that guy's got some funky hair."
Yeah.
But this is who I am. This is this is the way it came out. Why should I change it?
Yeah.
And I'm glad you
Grandma
embraced
now, I don't mind. And they're like, "Oh, what cool grandma name do you want?" I'm like, "Call me Granny. Give me the oldest fucking name there is. I don't even care. Like, I'm all about this time of my life."
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How many children do you have?
I have 3.
3 kids. How old are they?
They are 36, 34, and 25.
And what do they do? Where are they?
One of them is here. My sweet daughter, she's here. She is a hairdresser, a new hairdresser. My 34-year-old, he lives in Louisville, Kentucky, and he works for a company that creates and installs like the conveyor systems for like UPS, DHL, the post office, stuff like that. And then my oldest son, he works for the t-shirt business full time.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Yeah.
You've got a full-time employee now. That's great. I wish you luck with everything that you're doing. I'm so glad that you're doing this vidcast with us. I'm so glad you're filming your special. V is for Vagina.
Yeah.
And I love you, Jodi White. I think you're the best.
I love you. Thank you, Ron.
Thanks for coming.